Welcome, Santa Clarita Valley. We're here on SCV Sheriff Talk. I'm KHTS News Director Perry Smith, and in the studio with me today is co-host Shirley Miller from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station.
Good morning, and we're doing Facebook Live again today, and so if you're listening in, you can go to KHTS's Facebook page and catch us live.
I was told I have the face for radio, but now social media is changing everything, so
yeah, I think we had a lot of good feedback the last show, Perry, when we were doing Facebook Live. So
and we always appreciate when people contribute with their questions and comments and give us feedback and hey, can we talk about this? Because we're all about spreading the message of public safety for the Santa Clarita Valley, and in the studio with us are two experts on that. Deputy Cherry with the Parks Bureau, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
And Sergeant Marr from the Major Crimes Bureau Burglary Robbery Task Force.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Very, very cool. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us about public safety. I want to talk a little bit, because we have Labor Day coming up this weekend, a little bit about the Parks Bureau and what you guys are doing out there to keep us safe. You guys are all over Los Angeles County, so there's going to be a lot of vacation spots, and you guys are going to be pretty busy this weekend, I'm guessing.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me a little bit about the increase in activity and what you see around Labor Day and what it's just like out there. You guys are in Pyramid Lake up here and Castaic Lake?
Yes, we do. We patrol Pyramid and Castaic Lakes, as well as all the other bodies of water in LA County, 150 miles of coastline, which is handled by our Marina Del Rey station. But basically,
Carpinteria too, right?
Excuse me?
Carpinteria also out there?
No, that's not our area.
Off of, okay.
No, that's not ours. But basically, being that the weather's nice and people have 3-day weekends and some people have 4-day weekends,
it's like the official last holiday weekend of summer.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, how long have you been working out there for Parks Bureau at Castaic and Pyramid?
I've been assigned to Parks Bureau for 6 years now, assigned to the boat unit.
How long have you been with LASD altogether?
A total of 17 years. 17
years. That's a long time. Now, in order to get the position that you have, you're also a boat operator?
Yes, ma'am. Boat operator. We're all, in order to have this job, you have to also be an emergency medical technician.
I noticed your patch today. You have emergency medical technician patch on. So did you have to get this training, or had you already had it before you went on board with them?
It all depends on when you got onto the boating unit. When I got on, yes, I had to go get my own education, because it was one of the prerequisites of the job. You have to be an EMT prior to being appointed as a boat deputy. So we all are nationally registered EMTs, so we can work anywhere in the country, but our licenses are here in LA County.
Oh, okay.
Now, how did you get into the department in the first place? What was your initial interest? Did you want to work in the jails? Did you know you wanted to be in the boats, or did you know you wanted to patrol?
I don't know. I wanted to go out there and help people. I always looked up to people in law enforcement growing up. I had family in law enforcement, so I thought, hey, maybe that's something I could do.
Okay. So. And as far as working your way out to patrol areas, because generally you would start with the sheriff's department in custody. So where did you start?
I started off working at Twin Towers.
Okay.
And then from there, I went to the hospital ward of USC Medical Center, which was a 13th floor back then. Went to patrol. Actually, I did 5 years in custody. Went to patrol Marina Del Rey Station because I kind of decided that, hey, the boats is a unique job. I was a certified diver, and I thought, hey, I could use my diving skill and working on the boats to, save lives and, patrol the waters of LA County.
That's what's really neat about the different career opportunities with LASD. You can kind of, find your niche, find what you're interested in, and like in your case, you were interested in diving, and you were able to find a job where you can do what you like to do and get paid for it.
Yes.
Now, Marina Del Rey, too, it's not bad area, too. It's kind of nice area to patrol as well, I would guess.
It was nice. You pull over the celebrities every once in a while, and it's very political over there. But
sure.
So you had to mind your P's and Q's, but it was a good place to work. Marina Del Rey does have its bad areas as well.
Sure. Now, as far as the diving experience that you mentioned, have you had a chance to utilize that, or what types of situations would you get to use that maybe on a patrol?
Okay, I've actually trained with our emergency services detail. They're the ones that fly around the Air 5 helicopter. They're the paramedics. Basically, what we do is we work tightly with them, train with them. We're basically rescue divers. So if there's a boating accident or somebody drowns, we'll go in and try to find them within the first hour. When it becomes a recovery, that's when we work with ESD and we put together our plans and do a systematic search and do what we have to do to recover the bodies.
Now, we're fortunate in the fact that I think when I was talking to the other day, we haven't had this year any big rescue operations that you've had to do at Castaic or Pyramid Lake, right?
No, as long as, or as far as Parks Bureau goes, we haven't had any major incidents in the last 2 years. 2 years ago, we did lose a couple fishermen to drowning, and we did have some boating accidents where people lost their lives. But we do occasionally have, like the boating accident where you have the broken arm, but nothing really that traumatic.
So what would you say, like, the biggest violation of the public is that you see?
The biggest violation that the public, they don't educate themselves when it comes to boater safety and the laws of boating. Right now, you don't need a driver's license to drive a boat. Coming in the next 2 years, they're going to have an endorsement that's attached to your driver's license where you need to be educated and familiar with all the boating laws.
That's interesting. I didn't know that, but do you have to be like a certain age to drive a boat?
Yes, you have to be 16 years old in order to operate a vessel. And again, if you get a ticket on a boat, it doesn't go on your driving record because by law you don't have to have a driver's license to
So there's
operate a boat.
traffic school, but there's no boating school.
Correct.
Are there speed limits?
Not yet. Yes, there is speed limits
Oh.
on the lakes. Here we have 35 miles an hour.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then we also have buoys throughout the lake that are navigational aids that tell you, speeds or no wakes or, no boats.
Oh, okay.
Watch out for hazards, things like that.
Now, as far as what about like rules as far as drinking and boating? I'm imagining that's going to be happening a lot on this weekend, and when people go out and party on the lake, sometimes they might have a drink or two. What are the rules and guidelines?
Okay, my suggestion for one is boating and alcohol don't mix.
You still should have a designated driver, just
You
like a
should
car.
still have a designated driver, but the law does state that you can drink while operating a vessel. So the boat operator could drive by us and hold up his beer can or whatever he wants, but as long as he's under .08, then he's legal to drive.
It just sounds kind of funny. I can just see someone driving a boat and you go by and they hold up their beer can. Hey, deputy, how you doing?
Just be safe, right?
Yeah,
That's gonna be the
just be
response I
safe
would
because
get.
because you're gonna have to stand up and face the judge if you get involved in an accident and you kill somebody.
And then in that situation, if you suspect someone's boating under the influence, would it be a similar procedure for a DUI stop?
Yes, it is.
Walk the plank. Sorry.
We do have
Get all the nautical jokes out now.
right.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, like the FSTs that you do in a car,
That's
or
the field test?
the field sobriety tests on a car are different from a boat because on a boat, the waves and
Kinda
everything
rocking.
are rocking. So we have a different series of tests that we do.
Touch your nose.
No, we can't do the touch the nose thing because on the boat they could throw that out
They
in
might
court
miss.
saying that, hey, a boat went by while I was touching my nose. But we do like a finger count where we touch the fingers and different things like that. Most of the tests are seated instead of standing.
So it's the same thing though. You're checking for, I would imagine, coordination, like impairment, that type of.
That's correct. We check for all the signs and symptoms that we would on a regular FST.
And is it the same BAC level for cars versus boats as far as what you're testing for, if you do, or?
Yes,
Okay.
it's the .08. Again, when it comes to children under or people under 21, there's no alcohol allowed
Zero
whatsoever.
tolerance.
Zero
Right.
tolerance. If
Right.
they have one drop of alcohol in their breath, they're going to jail.
All right.
And life jackets. Do you see a lot of people out there using the boats without life jackets on?
Yes, there is. Our big stickler is the children. You have to, in the state of California, you have to be, people 12 and under need to wear a life jacket at all times. But there needs to be a life jacket on board for everybody that is on the vessel, and it has to be properly fitting and in good working order, no rips or tears.
And if someone if you see that they don't have life jackets on their children, what do you do? How do you approach that?
It all depends on the person's attitude. Most of the time we try to educate people because boating law, the fines are stricter than they would be in regular vehicle operations. Like for a misdemeanor, it's a misdemeanor for a person to not put a life jacket on a kid. So if we go there and educate the person and say, hey, do you have a life jacket? Do you need it? If not, go out and get one before you put your boat up on the water.
Right. And you said that there's a store located close by, so if they didn't bring one and they don't have one, they can go in the store and buy one?
Yes,
for their child?
both of our lakes do have a store where you can buy like the standard U.S. Coast Guard approved fire extinguishers, life jackets. They also need a throwable device as well. The only downfall of that, it's probably twice as much money as it would be at the local store.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, buy it before you go. And is there anything else that you can think of? We've talked about, the life jackets and about making sure that you know how to operate a boat. Can you think of anything else that we missed as far as public safety is concerned out on the water?
No, just this weekend it's going to be very busy. Pay attention to your surroundings.
Is it kind of like Disneyland where they reach like a certain max of people there and they stop letting people in?
Yes, both of our lakes do have a capacity on jet skis and boats. So if you're going to go out there on the lake, get there early.
Is there a way to find that out if you guys are approaching capacity, or if we're like, I might not be able to get out there till 10? How do I find out if my, the lake's at capacity, or I can still bring my jet ski? Or do you know from experience? Because generally, if you're not there by 9, don't even bother bringing your jet skis.
Exactly. We have people spending the night before just to make sure that they get in line.
So they're camping
Seriously,
out.
camping out like Black Friday.
Camping out just to get on the lake, because
Wow.
by 9 or 10 o'clock the lake is at capacity. So
okay.
you're going to be sitting in line. So when one boat leaves, they'll let one boat on. If 2 PWCs leave, they'll let 2 PWCs on.
Now, is that regulated just like a boater courtesy kind of rules with it, or do you guys watch people and say, okay, you can go now, or like how do people launch the boats for those that don't have boats?
Well, we regulate that as well as the concessionaires at the lakes. They'll keep track of how many boats are in there, and then
Okay.
we just double check all the boats and everything else. They do have rental boats there.
Okay.
So even if you can't get on the lake with your boat, you could always rent a boat.
So if you're interested in going to Castake Lake this weekend, I know they have a website. It's castakelake.com, and they have all the hours and information on there. And I'm not sure offhand if Pyramid Lake has a website. They probably do too.
I'm sure they do. I don't know it right offhand. But for all the boater safety stuff too, you could also go to the California Department of Boater Waterways, take your online test there, and that way it's a good way to educate yourself.
What was that again? California Department of Boat Waterways?
California Department of Boating and Waterways.
Boating and Waterways, okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming by today. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Do you have
you,
any
Shirley.
other questions, Perry?
Well, I just want to let people know, because you asked, Shirley, I looked it up. It's pyramidlake.us.
You are so fast.
That's what I'm here with the computer for. So if anybody does want information, they can go to pyramidlake.us. And you had mentioned that about Castaic being camping out early, but if people want to go up to Pyramid, is there like maybe a little less of a crowd, or from your experience, is there maybe a lesser known spot people can get out to?
They're both different. Castaic has a designated jet ski area where Pyramid Lake doesn't.
Okay.
Castaic Lake, being that it's a county lake, you cannot drink on it.
Okay. Good
So
things to
it's-
know,
so
to
it's
let
a
people
county
know. So you
park.
cannot drink at Pyramid?
Pyramid you can drink because
you can.
we've had the contract with the state for over 20 years now. So you can drink. There is no jet ski, designated jet ski area at Pyramid Lake.
Is that maybe why it's a little safer without the jet skis going on there?
Some people don't like jet skis. People that are on jet skis, most of the time they borrow the jet skis, don't educate themselves, and think that, hey, they go to stop and there's no brakes and they get involved in an accident and they're,
Now, you're going to be working this weekend. Are you assigned to Pyramid or Castaic or back and forth this weekend?
I think the beginning of the week I will be at Pyramid Lake, and the end of the week I'll be at Castaic.
So you have nice variety between the two.
We'll travel. Awesome. We got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back on SCV Sheriff Talk on your hometown station, brought to you by All American Billboards. Welcome back, Santa Clarita Valley. We're here on SCV Sheriff Talk. In the studio with me is my co-host, Shirley Miller from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. I'm KHTS News Director Perry Smith, and we have two very special guests with us, Deputy Tim Cherry from the Parks Bureau of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and Sergeant Marr from the Major Crimes Bureau's Burglary Robbery Task Force. Thank you again, guys, for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
And we were talking a lot about safety over the weekend for Labor Day, but also now I want to transition to your area of expertise, which is the Burglary Robbery Task Force. Sergeant Marr, that's a really interesting position because you take on a lot of the bigger cases, a lot of the work from other deputies when they're out in the field. It comes together and it becomes a bigger investigation when it comes to your guys' desk, right? Because you're looking at a lot of the evidence that's gathered, and then you're looking at the bigger picture for burglaries and robberies. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. So we work in support of all the sheriff stations throughout Los Angeles County, and in particular when an investigation, in our case burglaries or robberies, seem to be a series related, meaning an ongoing series that may reach outside of the boundaries of a home station.
So you you work with all of the different sheriff stations, so undoubtedly your team is kept pretty busy, I'm sure.
We are very busy. We work throughout Los Angeles County, and we've had support from our executives to go as far north as Santa Barbara, as far south as San Diego, because the crooks the people committing these crimes tend to know no boundaries and cross boundaries.
They don't respect county lines.
They have no, they don't respect county lines, which is fine. So we have the support to, as long as there's a Los Angeles County nexus, and there oftentimes is, we can spread our resources quite far.
At what point do they determine, okay, this is now a series of burglaries and we need to look, this is obviously a crew and we need to bring in Major Crimes Bureau?
There's no bright line for that. It's not necessarily 2 or more. We have the luxury of cherry picking our investigations. So
did you say cherry picking just because we have deputy cherry pickers?
I did. And I have some questions about bikini regulations and sunblock as well that I want to follow up on.
Sunblock is very big for
sunblock,
me.
And me too. Me too. What we do is we respond to the different stations, detective bureaus, and their command staffs when they request assistance.
So they would bring they're saying, hey, we're seeing a pattern here. And
yeah, Perry, we have a problem. It seems significant. Can you and your team come take a look at it?
So talk to me a little bit about your arc in the department, because I would imagine to join the burglary robbery task force, they want you to have some experience investigating burglaries and robberies. They don't just throw you into the organized or Major Crimes Bureau.
Yeah, well, working in a plainclothes capacity, they look at people who are terribly unattractive, so I fit perfectly. It takes a significant amount of detective experience before you can even apply and test for a Major Crimes Bureau.
Okay. Well, so what was your background before? When did you join?
So I've got 26 years on the department. Hired in 1991. Spent 6 years at that time it was Wayside. Then the Pitch
So you started up here in Santa Clarita Valley?
I did.
Were you born then?
What, in 91? Yeah.
Just checking.
Sure.
Yeah.
How old do you think I am? Oh, goodness.
So 6 years in the LA County jail system, which brought me out of the San Fernando Valley personally to purchase my house here in Santa Clarita and now raising my family.
Awesome.
From there, I went to a patrol assignment. I worked Century Station in South Central LA for 10 years. In that time, spent 2 years at Compton Station when the sheriff opened up Compton Station.
Now then they went police department, now they're back with the sheriff, right?
So they had been a municipal police department in Compton.
And they had some issues with that, I know.
Well, I think probably financially it was there might be some other issues too, but financially it was better for the city to contract with the sheriff.
Right. And then, a lot of cities find out that's why they go to, like Santa Clarita.
Sure.
They'll save money and they'll have the resources of the sheriff's department, so they'll do that contract.
I believe we're close to 50. You might know better than me, Sheriff, but close to 50 contract cities.
So with the burglary robbery task force, what are some of the more notable cases that you've worked?
There's many. The team has been in existence since about 2010. It began, we believe, with if you remember then, the spike in gold prices. It may seem ridiculous, but the price of gold nearly doubled in 2010.
When the economy crashed,
When the economy went bad or was worse. And what we found then was, at that time, some organized South LA gangs began to form burglary crews. And their intention was to get into houses, get gold and diamonds for a quick turnaround based on the price of gold. Matter of fact, we found many gangs, and this is not a gang-only crime by any means. However, we found that gangs began to cross old rival lines to form alliances in order to make money and support their gangs.
Wow.
And residential burglary was, in their minds, an easier way to do it and a safer way to do it, as opposed to mandatory sentencing with drugs, the territorial gang wars over
much lesser penalties. And then you've seen since then more stringent penalties associated with the burglaries and robberies since then, right?
The penalties are stringent. So I don't think that at that time when this was beginning, what they call flocking or the knock-knock burglary craze began.
Okay, let's
We
rewind.
will back that up.
What's flocking?
I think these crews believed that the sentences were going to be less, but they've always been stringent.
Okay. So yeah, now you threw some terms at us, flocking and knock-knock. What is flocking, and with respect to burglary?
Sure. So flocking is a term used, a slang term used primarily by Los Angeles gang members, and we find it now crossing throughout the nation. Flocking is a term used for committing a residential burglary. For instance, let's go flocking. We're going to go flocking. Have you been flocking?
Can you explain where that term comes from?
And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
I guess I'm in the right crowd because I never get text messages like that on my phone. Hey, let's go flocking.
Right.
So it's
Right.
a good thing I don't know what it is.
I think the term would be like a flock of seagulls and birds. You get together,
Sure.
and go and do what you do.
Probably a lot of flock of seagulls fans in that.
And flocks of seagulls are very annoying.
Yes, they are. But again, I want to reiterate, it is prolific with South LA gang members, but is by no means,
And they don't stay in South LA, obviously.
by no means, no, to the contrary. But we find the residential burglary, the knock-knock burglars, to be prolific across racial lines, monetary lines, neighborhood lines.
And that was one of the issues when you look at burglaries that somebody had asked me about. Do you see, it's primarily, I would imagine you don't burglarize your own neighborhood, right? It's
Typically go to
someone else's
someone
more
else's neighborhood, a suburb.
right, and that's where you see a lot of it is coming from South LA area coming up here from.
Sure. Again, Santa Clarita is a sleepy suburb. Middle
Not
to upper
so
middle class.
sleepy. It's
It's
getting
growing.
busier. It's growing
but,
here.
But
it's sleepy.
compared to LA, yeah.
Right. But now, how would you define what a knock-knock burglary is?
So a knock-knock burglar, and we've seen it on TV, and people I hope have read about it, is the daytime, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. school hours, sort of when somebody's knocking on the front door. These burglars, they're not creeping around with masks on, and they are driving nice vehicles into nice neighborhoods, parking in front of the home and walking right up to the front door and knocking on the front door, determining if somebody's home, acting very casual.
What was some of the, because you said you noticed, well, actually, you know what, we got to take a quick commercial break. I'm sorry. We want to talk a little bit more about the burglaries and some of the trends that you're noticing and that you've seen. But we'll be right back after this commercial break on your hometown station for SCV Sheriff Talk, brought to you by All American Bail Bonds.